Dane, appreciate you making some time for us this morning. I want to start with something you've already commented on, Jalen Catalon. I know a lot of Arkansas fans are thrilled to have him back in Fayetteville. In your opinion, did he make the right decision coming back to school based on what you've heard where he was projected to go in the NFL draft?
Well, right or wrong, it's kind of tough because it's such an individual decision. I really believe players, they need to make the jump to the NFL just when they feel ready. And in Jalen's case, coming off, major injury, the first 6-7 games of the year, maybe didn't go quite as well as, they could have for him. He came in with a lot of hype. On my top 50 draft board coming into the year back in August, he was top 20 for me. Watching his redshirt freshman film, big fan of just the talent that he offers. But, the missed tackles were an issue for him when he was on the field in the first half of the year. So, part of that was playing through an injury, but part of that is just he's a very aggressive player and just learning to break down in space, clean up those some of those bad habits. It's something that he can get better at. So I think that it absolutely makes sense for him to go back to school, get better, be in a better position to succeed at the next level. He's not going to get any taller or longer. That's one of the, concerns with him at the next level. But I do think there are areas where he can clean up some things, stay healthy, that type of thing. So big news for Arkansas. And I think he goes into next year as one of the top safeties in the 2023 draft class.
Dane, my next question was how high on your board was he, and you just answered that. So I'll move on to Treylon Burks and kind of the rest of this team. He's already announced that he is not playing in the bowl game and will be moving on to the National Football League. And I think it's pretty consensus that he's late first round, middle first round, maybe early second round guy. Is there any other player, Dane, on Arkansas? I know those two are probably the biggest two that you paid attention to as a national guy, but is there any other guy that stood out to you on the Razorbacks that you think is going to be worthy of an NFL draft pick this upcoming draft?
Oh, yeah, and I got to touch on Burks real quick because he's so fun to watch. I mean, he is one of the more unique players in the country. Almost 83% of his snaps in his career at Arkansas came in either in the slot or in the backfield. Just all the ways he was deployed in that Arkansas offense. But he's such a unique package because he looks like a linebacker, but he runs like a receiver. He's got ball skills. He has tracking skills. He can make plays after the catch. He led the SEC this year with 22 plays of at least 20 yards. So, there's some things where he needs to improve, just the rhythm as a route runner and some of the separating skills that he can get better at. But so, that continued refinement, that'll come. But, man, he is such a weapon with the ball in his hands. It's so unique. So, if he gets out of the top 25, I'll be pretty shocked. He's way too unique, way too good of a player to fall too far, further than the top 25, in my opinion. And then after him, I think you probably move to the defensive side of the ball. Trey Williams, the pass rusher. You throw on the A&M game, you throw on the LSU game, and this guy was living in the backfield. He's not a guy that is going to maybe test off the charts, but he has the effort where he just, he does not quit to the pocket. He's got heavy hands, so he can slam into blockers, create movement at the point of attack. He just wears down blockers because of the way he plays, that physicality, that aggressiveness. Not the most explosive player, but he anticipates well off the snap, and he has that physical stab, that ability to work off contact that really makes him a tough guy to contain on the edges. So Trey Williams has a chance later in the draft. And then I'm a big fan of John Ridgway, the transfer from Illinois State. Came in, he's a nose tackle, a guy that's not going to, rack up the production in the middle of that defensive line. But he has strong hands, strong anchor. He can press blockers off of him. He plays a little high at times. The pad level will get a little away from him at times. But he's a guy that can stack, shed, make stops in the gap. Just a bully of a defensive player. So John Ridgway, a lot of NFL defensive lines looking for a player like that they can put him in there as part of a rotation as a rookie, and he's going to make plays.
Let me ask you about a guy that would be late round or maybe undrafted free agent, but has overcome every obstacle from being a walk-on to winning the Burlsworth Trophy. We're talking about Grant Morgan. His brother Drew, kind of a similar path, had overcome a lot as a wide receiver, got a chance with the Dolphins. What's he going to have to show beyond just being able to play on special teams to maybe get to a camp and make a roster after a great career at Arkansas?
Yeah, coaches are really going to love this kid. He's from just purely physical traits perspective, not that impressive. His size, his length, his speed, all very average. I wouldn't say below average, but not above average. Just middle of the road. But he does such a nice job settling his feet to make stops. Not going to miss a ton of tackles. I think he does find another gear when he sees a chance to make a play, whether that's on a blitz where he can close to the quarterback, or when he needs just a little bit more to expand his range and make a play. So, I think he does have that a little bit. Sometimes that aggressive nature that he brings that you appreciate so much, sometimes that'll work against him. He'll fly by the quarterback on a blitz, or maybe he won't beat the blocker to the point in time to make a play. But this is a guy that coaches are really going to like because of a lot of the things you mentioned, overcoming, the different adversities he's had to, he's come across over his career. And, he's a guy that probably won't get drafted, but he's going to get signed as a free agent. He's going to get into a camp, and he's going to make it really, really tough for a coach to cut him.
Let me ask you about another guy that won't be in this draft, but next year, a lot of prospects, or a lot of people hoping his prospects are very high, and that's the quarterback, KJ Jefferson. What needs to occur over the next 12 months so that when we're talking to you a year from now, we're talking about his stock in the first round? What do you need to see from KJ Jefferson for him to advance his stocks as a quarterback for next year?
Well, it's all about consistency. We know he's a big mobile athlete, but in terms of as a passer, because that's really what is going to get him drafted early, if he's going to get drafted early, is consistency through the air. He has a lot of the ability. It's just the consistency hasn't been there on the basis that you would want for a guy that you're going to draft early and spend draft capital in the early rounds. He's not there yet. And, he's going to lose one of his top targets in Burks, and that's obviously something that, could hurt him next year. But, he's a guy that showed improvements this year. He took care of the football. He was not a guy that was just going to, make the bad decisions and not take care of the ball in terms of interceptions. He only had 3 this year, none over the last 6 or 7 games. He's a guy that can beat you with his legs. He can put the ball up in the air. So that dual threat ability is something that is a feather in his cap. His completion percentage, went up this year. There's a lot of things that you can point to that showed progress. And next year, it's just all about, continuing that, not going the other way, continuing that progress, getting better, most especially the consistency as a passer, being able to make pure progressions, being able to go from 1 to 2 to 3, making whole field reads, all these different things that you're going to be asked to do at the next level. That's not always easy in, Kendall Briles' up-tempo, RPO-based scheme. They don't always ask their quarterbacks to do that. But I think next year, as a senior, they'll probably put more and more on his plate, in terms of working from the pocket and making plays with his arm.
Dane Brugler of The Athletic with us here on the Morning Rush. Dan, I want to ask you about a non-Arkansas guy. That would be Spencer Rattler, who now the Razorbacks have to play this season when he travels to Fayetteville with the Gamecocks week number 2. And this was the guy that was the consensus preseason pick this past year for the Heisman Trophy. He loses his job to Caleb Williams in the Texas game, and Williams really, outside of that one little stint, never really relinquishes it. What kind of impact is Spencer Rattler going to have on for Shane Beamer's program? Not just him, but also Jake Stogner being added as well. What kind of how high can they climb up the draft boards for this next year and just help out what's going down in Columbia?
Oh, it's huge. And, Spencer Rattler took a lot of heat this year, but it's because he was so high. In terms of the hype meter was off the charts. He was, like you said, the favorite for the Heisman and being talked about as the number 1 overall pick. And so the way he played was not up to that level. but the perception is that he's just not this good quarterback, when in reality, most quarterbacks would love to have that talent, would have loved to have the season that he did. It just wasn't at the level that was expected. So he's going to go to South Carolina. He's going to give them a big upgrade at quarterback, and he's going to be one of the best quarterbacks in the SEC East, and maybe even the SEC by the time it's all said and done. He has outstanding arm talent. I mean, he could put the ball anywhere he wants on the field. He's a mobile athlete. He can throw off platform, really quick release. He can drive the football. He knows when it needs a fastball, when he needs to take a little bit off, so he can layer the ball downfield. It's all about his passing vision and making the right decisions. That's what got him in trouble at Oklahoma, not pulling the trigger in time, not seeing what the defense is trying to do. And so he needs to get better mentally. He's only he just finished his redshirt sophomore year. So he's still very young, still growing, still learning. And so I'm really eager to see what he looks like for South Carolina next year. And you mentioned Austin Stogner. That Rattler will get the headlines, but Stogner, that's a big pickup as well. A really talented tight end, really more of a big slot receiver. He could be a big target down the field, down the seam. So this big get for South Carolina. That's going to make them a much better team here right away next season.
All right, Dan, last question before we let you go. We got a lot of Dallas Cowboys that are listening to the program. And I know Arkansas fans are happy they don't have to face Micah Parsons in this upcoming bowl game, who is now a rookie in the National Football League. But when you evaluated Parsons, when you watched his game tape, did you ever anticipate he would have the rookie season like he's had for Jerry Jones this year?
No, and I think the main reason is because I just did not think that an NFL team would be smart enough to use him the way that the Cowboys are using him. And all the credit to Dan Quinn, the defensive coordinator, with the way he's saying, okay, this guy is so unique, so explosive, so twitchy, and so strong. He's just so rare of an athlete to be that size and to be that athletic. And instead of just sticking him at linebacker and playing him in reverse and saying just, go get the running back. And he is using him in different ways, and that's the smart way to use him. Blitz him, line him up at different parts of the front seven so he can rush from different angles. Keep the offense guessing. If you're an offensive line, you better have perfect communication to understand where he's coming from, so you understand what we need to do to block him, keep him out of the backfield. He's really a unique talent. And I really didn't think a team would be, smart enough, open-minded enough to use him the way the Cowboys are using him. But I'm happy to be wrong, because it's a lot of fun watching him hunt on Sundays. And all the credit to Dan Quinn, the way they've used him. He's going to be a fun player to watch here on out. And, credit to the Cowboys. They wanted a corner in the first round. They really wanted J.C. Horn. They really wanted Patrick Surtain. Both guys got scooped up right before the Cowboys picked. They ended up trading back 2 spots, still getting Micah Parsons. So sometimes that's just how the draft works out. Where even though you don't get maybe plan A or plan B, plan C could be still a really good player.
And Trayvon Diggs has had the season he's had as well, which has definitely helped the back end of that defense. Dane, we really appreciate the time this morning. Thanks for sharing your insight, not only on some Arkansas players, but some other players as well. And best of luck to you as you get closer and closer. I guess April doesn't seem that too far away from you, does it?
No, it'll be here before we know it. So a lot of work to do, a lot of players still to watch and to figure out. But anytime, guys, I appreciate it.
All right, great stuff from Dane Brugler of The Athletic. You can follow him on social media as well.
Has you covered for all the holiday season. More props, odds, and lines than ever before. BetOnline remains your #1 spot for all sports action. Head to our new updated desktop or mobile website to sign up today and receive your 50% welcome bonus with the promo code BELIEVE to receive your bonus. That's BLEAV to receive your bonus. And it's not just football. BetOnline has pro and college hoops, NHL, boxing, UFC, even your favorite Vegas casino games. Don't wait to take advantage of all these amazing offers available for the 2021 season. BetOnline is the fastest and easiest way to bet on all your favorite sports.